Hey guys, this is Wandering into the Woods, a podcast brought to you by Adventures with BG. We are your hosts, Linda and
Jarrett. As everyone's lives have changed these last few months because of COVID 19, many of us have had to stop doing things we love. Worse, small, local businesses that work hard to entertain their community have been hit particularly hard. Fortunately, some of these small businesses have shown amazing ingenuity, innovation, and adaptability. Two such businesses are Sherwood Forest Fair and Austin Ghost Tours.
Austin Ghost Tours is a local company that usually provides tours of downtown Austin and other surrounding areas. Their tours go beyond the standard tours, though, because they give you the chance to learn about the city's haunted history.
So, how many of these Austin Ghost Tours have you been on?
3 in person and this virtual tour.
What are they about? The three that you've been on.
We did 2 downtown strolls, walkthroughs, which are walkthroughs through Austin, learning about the Austin as it was after the initial flood. I don't remember which year, but basically you get to see a lot of historical buildings after the river down there flooded.
Oh, because you did the second one with your sister, right?
Actually, now that you're mentioning it, I think I've done the tour. I'm gonna say like 3 or 4 times
Okay.
in person, and then plus this is virtual tour because I did one with you. I went on another with my coworker friends, remember?
Okay.
And then I went on one with Michelle as well. So that's 3. And then we've also done the one that was in Southwest Austin, remember, recently?
Yeah.
So that's 4.
What about Pioneer Farms?
That's-
That's an Austin Ghost Tour one too, right?
But it's not the same company.
I thought it was.
I don't recall. Yes, it is. You're right. You're right. So that's 5.
Okay.
And so yeah, we're and then this virtual one.
Okay.
So we've done 5, or I've done 5 in person, and this is my 6th one.
Apparently, you like them enough to keep going back.
Yeah, I do. I'm a history buff. I love learning about history. Obviously, like most other normal beings, we don't like learning just from books. So these tours give you a good chance to experience and learn some well-researched history and hear some vivid accounts by some awesome storytellers. So when last weekend, when our friend messaged us and said, "Hey, there's this virtual tour going on. Are you guys going to do it?" Of course, I jumped at that opportunity, and I was so happy to be able to finally attend a Tuesday tour because usually you and I cannot attend a week tour. We have to wait till the weekends because we have Monday to Friday jobs. And I was like, yes, we can finally do a Tuesday night tour at 9 p.m. because we don't have to drive downtown, we don't have to find parking, and I don't have to worry about having to go to bed extra late and having to wake up early for work. And so we signed up and we did the Tuesday night tour at 9 p.m. and it was the Servant Girl Annihilator tour.
No, the most ridiculous name ever.
And yet it is a real name of an actual serial killer. The Servant Girl Annihilator is an assassin that killed several.
An assassin or a serial killer?
He both, isn't it? Don't both apply?
I don't know that assassin is a good fit for
Okay,
servant girls.
he was definitely a murderer. Let's say that.
Yeah.
And he definitely gave these girls, unfortunately, a very violent end.
Yes.
And so it was. So it's a very tragic history, and morbidly enough, it's also one of the first historical accounts of a serial killer in America. And so with that introduction, the tour is hosted by John Maverick, who is a very lively storyteller. And the way it works is they set up for you a virtual meeting where everybody meets, kind of like in a team setting. And you just they send you a link. You go to it after having paid for your tickets, and then at 9 p.m. everybody signs in, and you have a chat room, and then you're watching John in the video, and in the background he has an old city of Austin map from the late 1800s behind him, so that you can see. Follow along with him as he's describing the different murders around Austin, get a better idea as to where they're happening. The tour is an hour long. It is $3 per person, which is much cheaper than the in-person tour. I don't remember how much those were, but they were not as slow as the price as the $3 virtual
Just
tours.
something like 20, right? For the downtown one and like or 12 for the
Yeah,
other areas.
I think it varies by the time of month, the month,
Mm.
the night, weeknight, etc. Um, but while this pandemic is going on, they have different ghost tours going on Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday nights. I would say I wouldn't recommend you take these with your little kids if you have kids. I would rate these tours about around PG-13. They do discuss violence, obviously, in the case of the Annihilator. They there is some depiction of or some talk about prostitution, which occurred back in those days. Still does, obviously, but back then, kind of like Austin had an informal red light district, and that's talked about as well. And so definitely for older kids, and if parents feel like taking their kids, I'm not going to judge anybody's parenting style. So, um, and it's just a great way to learn about history. And in this specific Servant Girl Annihilator tour, we got to hear some well documented research that Janine Plummer did, and she's actually the owner of Austin Ghost Tours. And she was one of the first researchers to look into the Servant Girl Annihilator and the series of murders that he carried out in 1885. And she's the one that helped connect the dots, try to settle a lot of discrepancies that were in the historical account, and try to fill in the gaps and try to find out what were the different characters at the time thinking or saying. So her company specifically, John, in this tour, they're very good about telling you this is a fact versus this is an opinion, which is something I really appreciate because especially for something called like a haunted tour, sometimes some storytellers can lose their way between fact and fiction or fact and opinion. But Austin Ghost Tours is really good about telling you what is fact and what is opinion, and John definitely does that on this virtual tour. He, as I said, as he's going through the tour online, he's also reminding you where each of the murders took place and sort of what that looked like in the 1800s. If they have some depiction or some illustration, they'll show you that. And then he also tells you what are the current locations. So one of the murders took place where Whole Foods is currently located in Austin, for example. So I don't want to give too much away because this is a great time for doing these virtual tours, and I really do encourage you and anybody out there who's curious to learn more about Austin or is curious about ghost tours or haunted tours to check out this virtual tour. It is incredibly accurate, morbid, anatomically and medically descriptive, which is so much, so much that you would, it's just much more than you would expect to hear in a regular haunted tour. It's definitely one of the best I have attended. And if you want to learn more about this company or about Austin and the ghosts that haunted, Austin Ghost Tours also has a podcast called Austin Ghost Tours. Austin Ghost Tours has a podcast called Haunted Texas and Beyond, and it's a great podcast. Really recommend it.
And if Linda didn't mention, but the tour is interactive. There's a chat function, so you can ask questions. And Michael doesn't, or John doesn't answer, but he has like an assistant there. I don't remember who it was for this one.
Well, it's different. You have Janine there,
Yeah.
and she's the owner, but you also have other staff members there.
Yeah, and they
staff.
answer the chat as you type things. So it can be interactive. So if you have questions about things, you can ask them along the way and someone will answer. And also, when Linda was describing how they show you where things are located, they use a map as the background, and they actually zoom in and sections will point to things. So you can see where that is located in the city on the older map.
And the modern, so you see old and modern. So yeah, that's the Austin Ghost Tour, the Servant Girl Annihilator tour.
And if you like your host, they have the option to tip, I believe, with Cash App. So tip your host if they did a good job. For our second virtual tour, we attended Sherwood Forest Fair. So Sherwood Forest Fair is a Renaissance festival. It's based on the tales of Robin Hood and his merry men, and he's actually kind of a key figure in these virtual episodes. He always starts it out and kind of leads it through. The physical location of Sherwood Forest Fair, it's actually in McDade, Texas. Some people may know it better as Bastrop, but it's in Central Texas. It runs 8 weekends straight. It's usually from the first weekend in March to the last weekend in April. Give a little shift. Tickets are $18, but the first 3 weekends usually have some sort of buy one, get one free event. So you can go, two people can go for the price of one. And had we been able to go in person, this actually would have been our fourth consecutive year. Or at least mine. I don't know if it's yours.
I think it would have been a second or third. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I know you've been going longer than I have,
Yeah.
But it's really fun. Really enjoy those fairs when we go.
And so this year, they couldn't have it, in person. They were actually able to get the first weekend going, which was how they were able to make the virtual episodes. They were able to record all the performers that were there. The episodes are about 2.5 hours each. They released their last episode, 1 through 4 this last weekend, but they're still up. It's just on YouTube. You can go watch them. And the one we watched live, which was episode 3, the performers were Master Bones Jangle and the Voodoo Island Cannibals, the Grand Parade and Scene with the Robin Hood Players, Iris and Rose, Wild and Thorny,
Our favorite.
Sky King's Falconry
Oh
Show,
man, another favorite.
which is actually my favorite.
Yeah, it's like hard to choose between those. Oh, geez, I don't know.
And then the last performer for this episode was Clan Tinker. So we watched the 1 through 2 before, just to have it on so we could be ready for the live event while we were doing stuff around the house and getting ready. It premiered at noon, and we had it on live for that. And the first group up was Master Bones Jangle and the Voodoo Island Cannibals. So they are described as a trans-dimensional pirate band, and the music they play is pirate folk punk.
So you can kind of like picture this this pirate band kind of like playing in something like Pirates of the Caribbean, because you can picture them playing like it sounds oldie, like oldie music, but at the same time it's very modern.
Mm-hmm. And so, if you all remember, in the early thousands, maybe pirate punk was a huge thing. So there was a couple of bands that had. And so I think the big thing that makes it like that is accordion. I think that's the real kicker.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't
the
know that was
accordion.
the identifier. Huh.
Yeah, but they're also rockish, so they have guitars, drums, and bass and things like that. And then the next show was the Grand Parade and Scene with the Robin Hood Players. So it's a scene put on by the actual fair itself. It happens around their castle, which is fairly large for just a kind of Renaissance castle. It looks pretty accurate, and it's got a scene going on. It covers a harrowing event for King Richard in 1199. I don't want to give any spoilers, but the history is out there if you want to look it up. Thankfully, everyone survives in this scene, and the grand parade begins. And the parade is usually just something that happens at the fair where all the shop owners and the cast get together and go through, and they hold up signs to let you know who they are. So it's kind of an introduction for everyone.
Yeah, it's really wherever you are at the fair. Usually, when you're there in person, they'll pass by and you'll get to see them. So it's really good to see the
Options
video.
available.
Yeah.
And then I think they actually have some sort of like special ticket that you can be a part of the grand parade if you go in person. The next show was Iris and Rose, Wild and Thorny. They're sisters, and they perform body ballads, dirty ditties, jokes, and limericks. Definitely an adult-only show.
In case you didn't get that earlier from the description. But yeah, definitely for adults and no children. Although in that video itself, you can see some children in the background. And they keep insisting, trying to, make it clear to the parents, this is an adult show. So, I mean, we're not going to judge parenting. So it's typically, the Iris and Rose show is typically for adults. I love them. They're just hilarious. I frankly think they're some of the best comedians I've seen at Renfest. And so I really loved and enjoyed their show.
And the honest truth is they're not like too ridiculous out of lines for adult only.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's nothing horrible. I don't think they have any particular cuss words.
Well, because it's a Ren Fair, right? So a lot of times they have to like be very they're not right on the nose. They're just alluding to a lot of things, and it's up to the adults to fill in the gaps.
Yeah, but they're definitely not dropping any F-bombs or things like that.
Yeah. So it's a great makes for a great time, both in person and through video.
And then One of my favorite shows is the Sky King's Falconry Show. Someone who was a degree in biology. I happen to like animals, and birds of prey and such are very cool. And they have a educational spin on it, so you actually get to learn some things about the importance of birds, what they do, how they're good for the environment, and things like that.
And their focus is on education, so
Mhm.
they're not a for-profit agency.
Yep.
They're non-for-profit. They're rescuing birds, and they're educating the public for the birds preservation. So
Yep.
it's a great cause, and it's a great show. And in the video, what I really appreciated about it is you can see these birds up close, because you and I have seen the show in person, and you always maintain your distance from these birds of prey,
Yeah.
obviously, but in the video, you can actually get up close to them. So that's pretty neat.
And then so any donations that actually go to the show actually fund the nonprofit to take care of these birds and wildlife and things like that. And if you're in person, they actually fly the birds like in between the row seating. So if you have the chance, make sure to sit on an edge, because the chance the bird flies pretty close to you.
Just make sure to hide your hot dogs or corn dogs or whatever you're eating.
Yeah, they are hungry. That's how they're trained to eat food. So if they see things that they like a good turkey leg, they will definitely, stop and chow down. Especially the I don't know if it's a vulture or a buzzard, but
Yeah.
apparently he will get down and just walk the aisles and look for food under the row seats. And so this is, I think, a pretty good show. I mean, there aren't a whole lot of other ones where you get up and close with the birds. And if you go in person, there's actually they call it a museum, I believe, but it has a bunch of the birds they have that they've rescued in the back. So there's little placards about them you can go get within a couple of feet. They're still in cages, unfortunately, but it gives you a little more knowledge.
They're not divas. They're usually okay with pigs.
Yeah. And then the final show was Clan Tanker. I'm not sure the pronunciation, but it's a troupe of brothers and sisters who perform stunning array of different task skills in a circus style fashion. So they kind of look like, in my opinion, jesters, and they do juggling, balance things. They have little tunes in between, so a mix of skills, acrobatics, and kind of some songs. It's billed as an all-age show, but I think it's geared more towards your children. So if you've got children, this is probably a really good show for them to watch.
Or we just appreciate acrobatics and things of that nature.
That's true. But, I definitely saw in the video a lot of kids and could hear them giggling and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that was it for Virtual Show 3.
If you end up watching. Okay.
So that was the end of it for Virtual Episode 3. We still haven't watched 4, so I'll probably do that soon. But if you end up watching and liking it, you can donate to Sherwood Forest. The fair actually splits any donation 50-50 with the performers. So it's definitely a good way to help out any small business, or to help out a small business and artist while they're out of work, because right now none of these performers can go and do anything. So it'd go a long way to helping them if you ended up liking everything. If you need to find them, they're all on YouTube. You can just Google Sherwood Forest Fair. So definitely have a look, give them a thumbs up, and support that local business. Well, guys, we hope this episode has helped you discover another way to entertain yourself during this quarantine. Please stay safe and keep your social distance.
If you like what you heard, don't forget to follow our podcast, Wandering into the Woods, on Spotify. For pictures, go to adventureswithbg.com or look us up on Instagram at adventureswithbg. As always, stay safe as you wander into the woods.